the results, and you develop the IEPs, which is their educational plan. And this is just a variety of ways that SLPs work.
Before you go to that, can you talk just a little bit about how you would be involved in an art meeting?
Okay. I can tell you how I've been involved, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And as soon as I got into like another school where I don't have my supervisor or my educational supervisor, I mean, you talk about every single assessment that the child went through. I'm not the only one there. The special education teacher's there, or the regular education teacher's there, the diagnostician is there, the parents are there. Oh, the parents don't know Spanish, can you translate for us? Okay, how do you say that word? I don't know. But, I mean, it's very, and then they start discussing, okay, does this child really need speech, or do they need more resource, or do they have difficulty with math?
In general, what will happen is the special ed department, the teacher, the ed diag, and all of them will want the student to stay in speech because they don't feel like the speech path maybe has done enough to get them up as high as they need to be. Whereas the speech path will take the approach of, it's more of a medical model of, okay, this student has went this far. This is as far as they're going to be able to go based on this data. So they have plateaued, which means they came up this far and they've leveled off. Maybe the goal's up here, but they're here. And they're not going to ever get up here. And it doesn't matter what you do, they're not going to get up here. So why would you waste a finite amount of resources on a child that's plateaued when you have all these other children that have not plateaued? Parents don't like to hear that.
So basically the teacher, the parents want them to keep in speech because they haven't reached their goal, and that's why they still make them go, because they are hoping in their mind
That
they will
yes.
reach their goal.
Yes.
I mean, we've discharged kids because they've already reached like as much as they can go.
Yeah.
And sometimes, unfortunately, because speech is under the umbrella of special education, that parent receives a check for that child.
Yes.
So, you know, it doesn't benefit them to have them exit the program. Even maybe they've reached all their goals and they're like, no, my kid has another disorder, or I want you to test him again. It's very difficult sometimes, you know, to draw the line, and you're just like, hey. And sometimes they go out to another place that will give them the diagnosis that they want, you know? Yeah, that's a whole different PowerPoint.
Now, is it, and this is a question I don't know the answer to. Can a child receive speech therapy without being special ed in a school district?
No.
Okay.
Special ed is under
They
speech.
have-
Speech is under special ed.
They can't be in 504 then. Rehabilitation Act 73, Section 504, like at-risk student that's not in special ed but has a disability.
Obviously not.
The answer is no.
I don't know.
Well, if you don't know, then the answer is no.
But I mean, when I say special ed, they're not in a special ed classroom. You know that, right?
No, but they can be. They can be in a special ed classroom, but they can also be in a general ed setting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in general ed. You know.
Yeah.
Because you know they're screamers or they don't talk. You know, they have really low receptive skills or expressive skills. It doesn't necessarily mean that my child is going, or my student is going to be taken out of my classroom because I said that they don't know how to talk or anything like that. Plus, if they get put in a special ed classroom, the diagnostician does a lot of testing, and they have a whole lot more testing and evaluation. And the ARD is probably longer. So,
It can be days.
yeah. We try to integrate classroom objectives. We help the students understand and use basic language concepts that support reading and writing. When I saw little kids, I try to ask the teacher, what are you working on? Oh, we're working on spidergrams or Venn diagrams. So, I mean, I incorporate Venn diagrams. Or they're reading a duck story. And they're like, oh, can they read the story in speech? Yeah, we can target and we can find all the sounds. I think that that's better. I don't know what other speech pathologists do, but when you incorporate classroom objectives, they're going to have a better chance of being successful in the classroom. And that's pretty much what you want for the child. You want the child to succeed in the classroom. Okay, so we also have to monitor their periodic screening. Monitor or do periodic screenings. That means that the child is going to get evaluated. I think it's like once a year or every 3 years for their like annual review.
Yeah, they are, they have to have an annual art every year, but every 3 years is when they get the reevaluation, which would include the speech, unless someone feels like they need to have it sooner than then.
Yes, correct. If this was past year, yes. I'm just kidding. They do small group or individual sessions, which just means that if I'm seeing a child and they're just working on art, I can get like 3 other kids or 2 other kids that are also working on art. They can work on art together. Or if I have a child who is extremely severe and is very violent and aggressive, then I can work on him, on an individual basis, and then maybe work in the classroom. So yeah, these are just some signs of communication disorders. They're not. I mean, this doesn't mean that the child obviously has a communication disorder, but this is something that you might want to look for. Late talker, they're doing below expectations.
I took a class in California, and I read the book, and the teacher would say, by 12 months, if they weren't
Traveling and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, if they weren't doing certain things, there was
Yeah.
I'm
talking about like.
You took a class with someone that's very much a developmental stage person, and that's cool because there's a lot of good things about that. But you should not put those stages in stone.
Right. And I learned that having kids.
There are some kids that they can be 2 years old and they're not really talking yet, and that's okay, because you really have to look at the whole child. You can't just look at, if they're not talking, then they're autistic or they're whatever. You have to look at everything and take what's going on within the context of the whole child.
There's a lot of different reasons for a child not to talk.
Think about that. If you were dropped into a class in Russia, how talkative would you be?
Not only that, but we would all have communication disorders.
Yes.
Because, we don't speak the language, and we'd probably all be assessed in Russian, and they'd be like, well, this person needs to be in a special education classroom. But yeah, it happens all over the world, I guess. Unable to express thoughts or ideas, problems understanding others and following directions. They don't get along with other people. They have problems taking exams. All of these can be signs of a possible communication disorder.
But now, please remember, with the doesn't get along with others, it's okay not to like some people. I mean, if doesn't play well with others was a ultimate sign of a disability, I would have it big time. But everyone can, a kid cannot get along with other people, and that's okay. It's this type, the child that she's talking about doesn't get along with anybody for any reason.
Not only that, but I mean, just because they don't get along with